Fatigue Management Implementation. Training Ref INH 160 Revision 0. Training Agenda. First we will look to the training induction, why manage fatigue, then the time matrix, weekly and daily, fatigue management app, then the training conclusion, and finally the training certification. Training introduction. Fatigue in itself is an extreme hazard because it can cause several other incidents and accidents and risks and hazards to arise. In other words, if you are tired while you are working, you can cause several other dangers and cause any type of incident or accident. Savuka management has realized the excessive hours the teams have been working, and even though Savuka appreciates your dedication and commitment, the risks involved is very high. Thus, Savuka has decided and determined an action plan to manage the fatigue of Savuka team members. Thus, please pay attention and implement the specifications of this training, as we believe this will ultimately benefit you. The time matrix. The weekly time matrix. This table indicates the legal time limits as stated by the labor law and supported by the Savuka Fatigue Management Policy. You will note that it is divided into a 7-day work week or a 5-day work week. For a 7-day work week, the average hours worked is 8 hours a day, which can be extended to maximum 8.5 hours per day. Your 5-day week is 9 hours a day, which can be extended to 9.5 hours per day maximum. If you are going to work overtime, for a week you may not work more than 12 hours or maximum 15 hours over the duration of an entire week. Therefore, your maximum hours that you are allowed to work if you're working in a 5-day week is 74.5 hours. And if you're working in less than a 5-day week, it's 62.5 hours. This, however, can get a little confusing as there are several factors to take into account. Thus, we've decided to simplify it for the teams to make it easy to implement, and your office will monitor it and keep you informed of the legal limits. So what do you need to do? Firstly, report your time worked and traveling kilometers. To make it easier for you, we have designed an app, which is our main focus of this training. And also, keep your daily working hours within the limits, which we will now discuss. The office will then, based on the data that is captured on the app, evaluate your weekly and monthly time worked, inform you when you are reaching the limits, and adjust schedules accordingly to ensure your safety as far as reasonably possible. So, let's look at the daily time matrix. This wheel you can see indicates a 24-hour time period, which is basically your day. 13 hours are daylight time, indicated in the light blue. 11 hours are night time, indicated in the dark gray. Note that no working at heights is allowed during this time, and driving during this time should be kept to a minimum and rather avoid it, as it increases the driving risk. In the daytime breakdown, we are looking at a 7-day work week. You will see that in green is marked the 8 to 8.5 hours that you will be working on your normal hours. Orange indicates the standard overtime you can work based on the maximum hours allowed in a week. Note the 2 hours added in red. This increases your overtime to 4 hours. This can be done under the following conditions. Firstly, the total weekly overtime hours cannot exceed 12 hours. The increase cannot be done for more than 3 consecutive days. Finally, you'll note the purple marked area. When you are driving, you need a sufficient amount of sleep. When you are going to travel between 150 to 600 kilometers, you need at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep. And if you are driving more than 600 kilometers, you definitely need more than 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. This brings your total 24 hours sleep chart up to what you can see right now to the right hand side. Now that you know the limits of your day, let's look at the Fatigue Management app. Fatigue Management app. In order to control the fatigue of the teams, Savuka will enforce this app to track and monitor the fatigue. This app was designed with the team members in mind. It should not take additional effort. The app, in fact, removes other obligations. We'll discuss it later. It must be capable to function on multiple devices, and it must be able to work offline. The use of this app will be mandatory to be used by all teams from Monday, the 16th of July 2018. This will form part of the team vetting process. Compliance will contribute to your team's health and safety scoring. Non-compliance will result in non-conformances and disciplinary action. You will receive a daily reminder twice a day via WhatsApp until it becomes a routine. The app is compatible with most devices, such as desktops or laptops, cell phones, and tablets. All devices use more or less the exact same method. As most of you will be using your phones to access, the video examples used hereafter will be from a cell phone screen. The first section you will note is mandatory. This information is very important to complete as required. The second section is optional. You do not need to complete this set of information. The app can track your workday start and end, like a normal timesheet when you start in the morning and when you end at the end of the day. And or it can track your individual trips and working times. Thus, if you wish, you could indicate the start of your trip where you leave your house, drive to site, end the trip there. Then, based on that, by the time you drive again from site, again log the trip, and when you reach home again, close the trip. Thus, each and individual trip will also be logged. Remember, you must do at least the workday, where you at least do it at the start and at the end of the workday. Start off your day by opening it. Insert your email address. An autofill should provide as drop-down. Then enter the name of the driver. After that, click either open or close. For this, open. Enter your vehicle odometer reading. If you forgot to log the previous day, you can do so now here. So then the optional. Select the designation from the drop-down. Provide details such as site ID or warehouse name. Then to submit the form, select firstly whether or not you would like this info to be emailed to you, and then finally click submit and you are done. End of your day. Close it. Follow the exact same procedure. Insert your email, autofill again, enter the name of the driver and select close. Then enter the vehicle odometer reading at the time of the closing. If you forgot to log the previous day or this day, you can alter the timestamp by entering a time in here right now. When we do the sheets, we will accommodate for this. Then you can also input the optional information. Select the designation from the drop-down, provide the details such as the site ID or warehouse name, and finally select if you want the information emailed and then click on submit and you are done. If you're experiencing any problems or would like to provide feedback, you can simply click on the exclamation point on the left hand side of the app, or you can contact the designer of the app, the safety officer, Jacqueline Notnagel. Added bonus, less forms to complete. This app basically replaces section 1 of your team safety file, which includes the timesheets and the vehicle logbooks. Thus, if you complete this app and if you use it on a daily basis, you do not need to complete those forms in your file. Training conclusion. Savuka strongly believes in this method and fully supports the use of this app. Thus, it is mandatory for each and every team to use this app. Remember, you are constantly at risks of incidents and accidents. If you are tired, you are not observant enough, you can fall asleep in dangerous areas or at dangerous times, and your body can give in, uncontrolled. Therefore, stay within the limits of the working hours and always get enough rest before driving. Please be safe out there. This training forms part of our in-house training. This is a no test required training process. Thus, the training is firstly created, then communicated that it is required, then presented to the relevant persons. These relevant persons then confirm the communication. The training is evaluated and rated. The confirmation email is sent, and then the SHERC department reviews it and issues each team member with a certificate. Training completed. Thank you for completing this training. As you are completing this training on the SHERC app Google Drive, follow the instructions of this training as stated until you reach the submit button. This training does not require a test. You have the option of receiving an email after completion of this training. You will receive an attendance training certificate. All training certificates will be issued in the second week of each month. Note that this is not CETA accredited training.